Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. I'm EYEYAH, I'm a librarian at Library at Orchard. So today we have PDA and EYEYAH running the program of Visual Language to See the Real World. And I just want to announce that this week we welcome the President's Design Award exhibition to the library. And we're very happy to have them. It's going to run until the 28th of November. So please do check it out, make a trip to the library, visit us, pick out a copy of EYEYAH magazine as well. And so accompanying this exhibition, together with the PDA team, Trina, later you will get to see a little, she'll be sharing a bit more about the exhibition. We welcome Tanya Wilson of EYEYAH magazine to be presenting today's sharing. And you know, it's a talk, we say it's a talk and it's a webinar format today, but it's not as scary and formal as it seems. There is a lot of interactive segments to today's webinar. So we will be using the chat box and the Q&A section quite a lot today. So there's a difference between the two little buttons you see at the bottom of your screen. There'll be some interactive exercises and quizzes later. So type your responses in the chat box. But during the Q&A session at the end, do type the questions in that Q&A section instead. So another reminder is that this session is recorded. And it will be made available to the public on our Library at Orchard Facebook and also on the Design Singapore YouTube channel. So I will be sending out an post-event email about the recording once it's available. So do keep a lookout in your inboxes. Lastly, as you can see the link at the bottom of the screen, if you like our programs that Library at Orchard curates, that's the link to see all our programs we have for the month of November. And without further ado, I'll just pass the time to Trina to share a little bit more about PDA and what they do.
Thanks, EYEYAH. Hi, everyone, and thanks again for joining us. Just give me a second while I share the slides. Okay, so hi again, everyone. I'm Trina from the Design Singapore Council, and I'm representing the President's Design Award team, or PDA for short. On the slide now, you can see a selection of designers and projects that have received the award. I hope you recognize some of these designers and places, and in particular, the Library at Orchard, which also received the PDA in 2015 for using the design thinking approach to design the spaces and programs with the users in mind. I'm sure for many of us who are patrons of the library, we will agree that the Library at Orchard is a very welcoming space with a lot of thoughtful design elements. So today I'm going to give a quick introduction to the PDA before I hand the time over to Tanya to start the session. The PDA is the nation's highest accolade for designers and designs across all disciplines. It was established in 2006 and awarded in 2 categories: Designer of the Year, which recognizes the designer's achievements and impact from their body of work, and Design of the Year, which recognizes projects for their technical excellence as well as design impact. So far, we've awarded 43 Designers of the Year and 117 Designs of the Year. Since a revamp in 2018, the award is now given out every 2 years and is jointly organized by the Design Singapore Council and our colleagues from the Urban Redevelopment Authority. The PDA also recognizes design impact in these 4 areas: design's power to enable economic transformation through transforming work experiences and businesses through innovative design strategies, processes, and even experiences; designs that have made a difference in raising the quality of life; projects that address culture, heritage, social and community issues that advance Singapore's brand, culture, and community; and finally, projects which push the boundaries in crafts and technical excellence to make groundbreaking achievements in design. At the end of June this year, we awarded our latest crop of recipients from the PDA 2020 cycle with a small ceremony at the Istana. And if you're wondering why it's 2020, no, that's not a mistake. The cycle was actually delayed from last year because of COVID. So here are our 2 Designer of the Year recipients that you can see on the top row, and our 9 Design of the Year recipients from the various disciplines. We have designs that you can see on screen, like the Sparkle Thoughts Large Preschool at Pongo, which provides a safe and inclusive space for the young to learn and play, and designs which raise the quality of life for our seniors, like Kampong Admiralty and Good Life Makan. We also have projects that use design to spotlight social issues and incite emotions to create change, like the EYEYAH project. The PDA is also more than just an award that we give out every 2 years. Along with it, we have a traveling exhibition that Imei spoke about, featuring works of the recipients, as well as local and international outreach programs that we run with partners like Library at Orchard to inspire and educate on the value that design can bring. These are some of the physical and digital programs we've done, and maybe we can hope to see some of you at our programs as well. And like Imei mentioned just now, the exhibition will be on display for the whole month. So, do drop by and check it out, and check out the EYEYAH magazine, which will be at the library as well. So every cycle, we also publish a very special, lovingly designed publication with in-depth interviews and insights from our recipients. This year, we've made it accessible to many by creating an ebook that's free for download. So you can scan the QR code on the screen to download a free e-copy. But I'm sure all of us who patron the library, we love our books, and some of us just prefer to read a physical copy, have it in our hand, or maybe display it on our shelves. So for this webinar, you have a chance to receive a limited edition hard copy if you can email us after the session with your biggest takeaway from the webinar and from what Tanya will be sharing. So today we have with us our recipient from EYEYAH, which uses visual communications to break down social issues to make us pause, ponder, and perhaps change. They are an excellent example of how visual design has the power not only to captivate, but also educate. Before I introduce our speaker for today, I'm going to share a quick clip on EYEYAH. Okay, give me a second.
The main objective is to save the world with creativity. The idea is use visual communication and the tricks of advertising and try and infuse it into education. And you take something from a highly creative industry and use its effectiveness and its ability to affect change. That sort of stuff is really strong and provocative, and I think that's exactly what is needed to inspire the change that's needed for the next generation.
10 years ago with Cult magazine, we worked with artists and designers who are really skilled at evoking emotions or illustrating facts based on themes like trust, fear, and we touched slightly on social issues, but it was quite a niche audience, and we wanted to reach a much broader audience and bring art and design, and we felt the right way to go was to start in education. So our first issue was on the dangers of the internet, and we didn't know where it would go, but then we started seeing a lot of art teachers coming to our exhibitions and saying they were using it as a tool to start discussion in the classroom. And beyond Singapore, we're also excited that the content has reached the UK, the US, Hong Kong, Taiwan.
In a world where there's so much imagery and so much noise, how do we cut through all that? So I think by using schools and the sort of educational approach, we can tell people to analyze images in a different context and be more careful about how they read images. So EYEYAH is designed around this visual trigger to trigger a conversation or a discussion in the classroom. And it also encourages them to look a bit deeper and harder into the details of an image that only reveal themselves on a second viewing. So I think it's both of those things. It's revealing hidden messages, but it's also training a sort of visual literacy.
We, as parents, I feel that children need to know about things like internet safety and healthy eating and sustainability and mental wellness and financial literacy. We feel those topics are really important, and combining the powerful visuals with those really highly relevant but sometimes sensitive and complex topics serves as the inspiration behind EYEYAH.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. So before I go on to introduce Tanya, just give me a second. I'll pull out the slides again. Okay, I'm very happy to introduce Tanya, who's the co-founder and education lead of EYEYAH. And together with her other co-founder and creative director, Steve Lawler, they have worked with an impressive list of clients from around the world, as well as a network of designers and artists, both in the commercial and cultural sectors. Tanya has a background in public relations, events, and communications, and she's key in the strategic growth of EYEYAH and its future. I'll now hand the time over to Tanya. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you, Trina. Hello, everyone. I'm saying hello to you all from the middle of the South China Sea. This is the first time I run a webinar in these kind of conditions. I'm actually on a cruise, and that's why I look very bright. The sun's right behind me, and I'm sat next to the IT person because the connection isn't great here, so I hope it doesn't cut out. But I'm delighted that you've all joined on your Saturday at lunchtime, and although I can't see you all, I'm hoping this is going to be a really fun and interactive session. So I'm going to start sharing screen. Okay, I just need to enable screen sharing. Okay. So the title, as you know, is a visual language to see the real world. Sorry, hold on, I'm just adjusting. Okay. So this session is designed to demonstrate how images can be used to develop curiosity, visual literacy, creative confidence, and critical thinking skills. The important thing to realize in this session is there are no right or wrong answers, and hopefully you're going to have a lot of fun. What I've learned through the time that I've been, through the 20 years that I've been working in visual communications, is that images can be a very powerful way to develop these key skills, and hopefully you're going to get a taste of that. I'm going to take you through my journey to visual communications, how we and why we decided to build this brand for kids and kidults, and then we'll do some creative thinking and critical thinking exercises, followed by a Q&A. And I've got my colleague Becca here as well, in case there's a Wi-Fi problem and I log off, and then I'll log back on again, and she'll take over from me. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin. We're going to begin by just asking you some questions about creativity. These are some common beliefs, and I'd love to see what all of you think. So if you can, Becca's going to put the code, the URL in the chat box. If you can have a go at telling me what your opinion on each of these statements, these widely believed statements, is. Okay, I can see you're all starting to respond. Becca, would you mind sharing the screen? Actually, I can probably, oh, Becca's going to do it. Thanks, Becca. So, okay, well, okay, so it's, oh, great. So it sounds like we've got a really an audience of designers and people who understand visual literacy, which is fantastic, and who believe visual literacy is important. Even better. I mean, I've not done one of these webinars with this audience before, but I imagine there's a lot of designers and people who work in visual comms here. So lovely to meet you all. Okay, there is a belief that creativity is being good at drawing and arts and crafts. It's actually a lot more than that, and in this session we'll be really talking about creative thinking, not in the terms of arts and crafts. Creative thinking can be taught, so it looks like you believe that, of those of you who have voted. I think 12 of you. And yes, definitely it can. Some people are creative and some aren't. Seems like about half of you believe that. And creativity is relevant to certain jobs only. Yeah, that is a common belief. But actually, I would say it's relevant to a lot of jobs, and more as we're going to be discussing later. And a lot of you believe it's difficult to measure. Yes, that is definitely a common belief. So let's continue the session now. So you saw the video earlier and you've got an idea of what we do, but we want to create a world where innovative mindsets are nurtured from young. We want to inspire the new generation to build a more equal and environmentally conscious society. Because of our background in visual comms, we want to use the tricks of advertising and apply it into education. So using creativity to deliver educational content, it can work on two levels. One, we can make difficult or sensitive subject matter approachable and interesting. And you saw earlier in the video, I was talking about topics like internet safety, sustainability, healthy eating, all topics that we feel that children should be learning about in school, and they are more and more. But we want to support the curriculum with this kind of content. And two, by constantly exposing children to creativity and training their creative muscle, they will become creative, because studies show that by the age of 11, there's a dip in children's self-belief in their creative abilities, and that by the time they leave school, they no longer see themselves as being creative. I'm just going to talk to you a bit about my journey in visual communications. I moved to Singapore in 2005 to start a global platform for Tiger Beer called Tiger Translate. And that's when I met my co-founder, Steve Lawler. And this platform we worked on for about 7 years. And we found emerging creatives from all across Asia and partnered them up with designers and illustrators from Western countries to collaborate and to create a lot of content and experiences. So, and it was, we ended up growing quite a large network because we were uncovering illustrators in all these different countries. This is Manila. He was from Hong Kong, and you can see how elements of the brand are built into these beautiful illustrations, these digital illustrations that were then applied across bottles and merchandise and various other items. At the same time, we started doing this free visual magazine called Cult that we produced about, I think, 14 issues. And what was amazing about this is we actually gave every issue away for free. And again, we started building this network, and it meant that we never had to pitch for work. We always got clients coming to us because they wanted to use this kind of visual language for themselves. And what kind of clients were they? Well, actually, it was really interesting brands like Nike, Facebook, Netflix. You will know that we can process visuals 60,000 times faster than text, those of you who are quite visually literate. And using images to convey information improves a person's ability to recall facts by an average of 23%. And when text and graphics are combined, retention increases to 42%. So you'll probably never forget that fact now. That the average 7-Eleven big gulp is 50% bigger than the volume of the human stomach. So we started doing these little fun facts and animating these illustrations. And these are some of the clients that we worked with. Yeah, so when we worked with clients like Nike, they wanted us to find illustrators from all over Asia, places like Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Mongolia. So, and we were able to find talent in all those countries. some of the works that we did. And for Coca-Cola, and Facebook wanted us to illustrate some of their facts so that they could make their presentations to clients more visual and interesting rather than just copy-based. General Electric, a brand that is not seen as a very young brand, gave us all these facts and stats about their powerful machines, and we visualized them, and this created content for social media for them to engage with a younger audience. This is a three-way collaboration that we organize in Bangkok for Stranger Things 2. So we got 3 street artists and a sculptor to make this installation in an abandoned nightclub. Some other outdoor installations that we've commissioned. GIF Fest is a biannual festival of creativity that we hold, and for this we do a call out for artists and designers to create an animated GIF to a special theme. And this has been growing over the years. We started off with a few hundred submissions, and then in the previous one a couple of years ago we had over 500. I'll talk a bit about that later, but all these are really opportunities to create animated GIFs, and as you'll see from this next one, which is one of my favorites, you can communicate a hell of a lot of information in a GIF, and this is why this guy who from Spain had never in the breakfast buffet, sorry, I'll play it again, this is one of my favorite, in the breakfast buffet of his hotel, was wondering what the green jam was, and he asked the waiter, and that's how he learned about kaya. And so he built this GIF to show, kind of celebrate Singapore and how the process of making kaya. And naturally, this guy is huge on NFT platforms and selling his GIFs. And he's had collectors from Singapore write to him and ask him to make more of these. So he starts off doing this by hand drawing it and then bringing it into Procreate and then animating it. So going into EYEYAH now, that was just to show you a bit about how we've built this network of about 1,500 visual communicators. When we became parents and our kids are in local school, we started seeing the opportunity to use our network to talk to kids about difficult topics. So we combined social issues with creativity, and we call it Creativity with a Conscious. And this really started off as a passion project. There was absolutely no commercial idea behind it. We just wanted to do something that we would be proud of as parents, and kind of something that we really love doing every single day. And it started, I kind of grew and grew like that. And then, you know, thanks to Design Singapore, we won the award, which has helped us raise the profile. Why do we do it? As most of you know, I think you will know about the future of work, the World Economic Forum, and the key skills for the future of work, because machines are replacing humans. What can humans do that machines can't? Critical thinking, creative thinking, and complex problem solving. And we believe that images can be used to develop those skills. Well, it's not us who believe. There's been academic papers written about it as well. So some of the partnerships that we've had. Now, I realize you're not hearing the sound on these animations, so sorry about that, but you can see them all on YouTube. We've got over 50 of them, and we played them in between shows on Nickelodeon as little public service announcements. Some of the things we've done is our printed magazine. A magazine is really, really hard to, especially a visual magazine with 0 adverts, is really hard to scale and to maintain. But at the end of the day, we love the printed format of the magazine, and we really want to continue it. We regularly get parents who say to us that they're looking for magazines to subscribe to for their children. So yeah, as long as possible, we want to keep the magazine. Exhibitions are a key way that we reach out to people. Workshops, the school kits, which is growing more and more. Our YouTube animations that really we make for Nickelodeon, our merchandise, which we're starting to sell in quite a few places now in Singapore, our interactive learning experiences. We wanted to push the boundaries of publishing, so we created these interactive experiences that are on in the App Store. So going back to visual literacy, I think most of you know about visual literacy, but looking at an image is similar to skimming a text, while seeing an image is comparable to reading it. And it is important to be visually literate, to understand pictures and how they affect us, as it is to be word literate. Because of the digital world that we live in, a new visual language has emerged, yet we're not taught how to read images. Years are spent teaching students grammar and paragraph construction so that they become strong written communicators, but rarely is the same attention spent on the elements of visual communication. As I'm sure all of you will know, if you see a report that's really heavy in text, you are maybe less likely to engage in it than if it's really beautifully illustrated and makes for a really nice reading experience. And even better if the images complement the text or say something that the text can't say. So we use the images as visual triggers. You observe, you discuss, and then it will enable these learning outcomes. Okay, I'm going to answer some of the, sorry, I saw one of the questions. Yeah, the magazines are really hard to find because we just don't print that many. And they are very difficult to find. You can get some online or Bashir. We really love Bashir. So here are some of the learning outcomes. Okay, we're going to start having a bit of fun now. So I want you, this is some of the exercises that we do with teachers, that we do with the kids, any age. So caption contests, I don't know if you remember, but when I was young, it was quite a frequent thing in the newspapers in England. Can you come up with a fun title for this artwork? So if you could share in the chat some ideas, don't be shy. This is some of the things that we do in our creative thinking workshops. And the idea is that the more original, the more unusual your response, yeah, exactly, broccoli power. And what's interesting is when you see other people's responses. And it can be really, really, really fun. Okay, I can see there's only Jennifer's commented for now. That's fine. You might take time to warm up. Yes, very nice, Brocco Man. So let's have a look at some other people's. So we have this in our app, and the idea is when you start seeing other people's comments, you can like them and build on them and see how people will interpret things in different ways. So just going a bit more into visual literacy, and later I'm going to share some books that I love about this topic. If you have a careful look at this image, I think all of you are adults and you'll probably be able to understand this image already. But if you observe all the small details and start to interpret it, and then if I tell you that the image is called, the artwork is called Blocking Unwanted Calls, then you'll realize obviously the window is actually an iPhone. And what we're interested in is in that aha moment. When you look at an image, you deconstruct it and you understand it. And that is the act of visual literacy. Because the pleasure of decoding, what happens is the viewer makes the necessary act of completion. And the urge to understand and to complete something is intrinsic to human nature. Decoding the image leads to admiration for the cleverness of the visual and also satisfaction with one's own cleverness for interpreting it. And that leads to intellectual gratification. And it's a real human need to understand an image. So let's have a look at this one. Do you notice anything unusual about it? What do you think is the social commentary? Why don't you put in some of your thoughts in the chat? What do you think this image is about? So you'll see this is quite normal at the start of these workshops that we run. People are a bit shy to share, but by the end of it, they're all sharing their ideas. Sweet bomb, yes. Okay, perfect. So you get it straight away. You can see that actually the body of the cupcake is a snake and that there's these eyeballs and the cherry on top is actually a bomb. Yeah, and what is the social commentary? Yeah, so I can see some very nice comments coming in now. And the social commentary is really about the dangers of sugars and hidden sugars. So making connections is a key part of a designer and a creative person, is their ability to connect two things that don't even seem related. And we can see this done visually. Here you have the iPhone and the hands, and then I can ask you to look at these two components and imagine what you think is going to happen. So I'm going to ask you to listen. Hold on. So what do you think is going to happen from that? So if we were in a classroom environment, then the teacher would ask the students and get them to watch the animation. So this is interesting because when I've done this workshop previously and asked people what this was about, everyone kind of shared about the idea of social media and the idea of drowning in technology. So a lot of people really relate to that animation. And then once I've got your attention by sharing this animation, I can then share information with you that people in Singapore spend more time on the internet than any other country in the world apart from India. So it starts, the images and the animations are a way of, are an opener to start discussing these topics that may otherwise be quite heavy and that you don't want to be approaching by telling young people, get off the internet, it's dangerous for you, because that's not going to work. They're not going to react to that. So let's look at the same. This is actually the same illustrator. Her name's EYEYAH Chloe, and we're a big fan of her work because we actually did her first solo show in Singapore a few years ago, and now she's huge on NFT platforms as well. So she creates these. You can follow her on Instagram at EYEYAH Chloe. She creates these images that are really striking and full of meaning. So, you know, that idea of puzzles and observation exercises, I think it's something that we do when we're really young, and then we somehow just stop doing them or don't do them so often. But what we don't realize is they actually nurture observation, which is an absolutely fundamental skill that is at the basis of creative thinking. Creative people are highly observant people. So are designers who solve problems, because they will be able to observe things. So these kind of puzzles help nurture and build those muscles. And of course, the animation is also about the topic of healthy eating and about excess sugar. Because kids, of course, start drinking soda at a very young age. There's even sodas available in some schools. So this is a way to start a discussion about soft drinks and have an active discussion on the topic. And again, without starting off by saying to kids, don't drink soft drinks, they're bad for you, which they won't react so well to, maybe not be as effective as having the discussion in this way. So I talked about observation just now, and I'm just going to show some other types of illustration that nurture observation. So I'm sure all of you remember, or maybe are still huge fans of Where's Wally or Where's Waldo. So we love these kind of really highly detailed illustrations, and we commission them around these hot topics. So this one is about smart devices. So what I'm going to do now is give you a few minutes to look at the picture and find the 18 smart devices. It's actually not that easy. So please feel free to share in the chat some of the devices that you spot. Yeah, drone. Laptops, definitely, quite a lot. Laptops and tablets, including the guy or the lady who's on the toilet on her tablet. VR, yes, very good for the washing machine. Excellent. That's a smart washing machine. Smart TV. Yep, the VR goggles. The car. How about the car? Did anyone notice that? Someone put robot. Interesting. I don't know where the robot is. Satellite smart toilet. It could be a smart toilet. I don't think it was intended. I think no one's yet said the this one. Where is he? The runner. He's got that the running tracking device. She's looking for love on the internet. Spaceships. Yep. Robot arm, yes, exactly, very good. And what's that? It's a worm. that he's holding. And this is a reference to worms that you can find on the internet. Yeah, online dating. And then there's a hole in the road, as you can see. And that's a reference to the idea of going down a wormhole down the internet. Alien baby. Okay, well, fantastic. I mean, you can see how this generates discussion. And I mean, sadly, I can't see you all, but you can imagine that in a classroom, this could be really, really fun, actually, for any age. And then you can start asking people. Oh, and also the gaming device. Yeah, exactly. You can, yes, exactly. The danger of VR falling down. You can start asking people, or kids, you know, have you tried VR? And you will start getting an idea of how smart device literate the kids are. Probably in many cases, more so than the teachers. So here we go. They're all circled here. I think you guys found them all. So what is absolutely unbelievable is that, I don't know if you noticed that, well, that there are more gadgets than humans. And in fact, by 2023, there are going to be 3 times more network devices on Earth than humans. And then what else do you remember seeing? Well, that's when we can go into all the small details, like I was talking about the worm and the wormhole and the like the VR man who's about to fall off the roof, and then we can have all those kind of discussions together. I'm not going to give you a break. Well, because I think we're doing good for time, and I want to give you a chance to ask questions. But this is another one of our star illustrations. She's actually Esther Go from Singapore. The previous guy was called Matt Stokes. We always credit our illustrators. And for many, it's a new way of discovering talent. And you'll see when your Instagram feed becomes rich with all these creators, it kind of adds a whole new dimension to your life. So this is called Emoji Land. And every single little icon here is actually an emoji. And you can have a whole learning experience about nonverbal communication and about actually how emojis are not universal. One emoji in one culture may mean something completely different in another one. So that's really, really interesting. You know, and I find when I'm learning new things, then definitely the kids will be learning new stuff as well. And I don't know if you can see the EYEYAH one-eyed tiger hiding here. If anyone can, please write it in the chat. We actually took this and we put it into a VR device. We worked with a guy who used Unreal, I think it was, and it was really, really fun for the kids. For many of them, it was their first time trying out VR. No, he's not in the middle actually. Maybe you can write which icon he's next to, the EYEYAH tiger. And what happened in the VR is that when they found the tiger and zoomed in on it, it unlocked another scene for them. Anyone seen him? Yes, quite. Okay. Hyreal spotted him. He's next to the giant syringe at the top left. So we're going to do another one. This is actually my Zoom background. This is Angie, Angie Neo, who's from Singapore, and she's pretty amazing. She does a huge amount of research. So I'm going to ask you to find the 18 hidden penguins. If we were doing a Zoom workshop, we could do not on webinar format, but in another format. You can actually use the annotation tool on Zoom to circle all the penguins. So that's really fun. Or of course, you can do it manually. So what happened is that Steve asked Angie to do an igloo that was on fire. and a scene of chaos in the Arctic to talk about global warming. And she did a huge amount of research. And what she's done is kind of embedded her research into this rich illustration. So in the top right, you will see the melting ice cap. And actually those spiky things are viruses that are being exposed, that have been frozen in the ice for thousands of years, and that are actually very dangerous to humans. Then you'll see the mosquito up there holding viruses and bacteria, because the rising temperatures are causing them to breed. You'll see the plastic bottle, the nice mountain. So, you know, plastic bottles have been found on Everest and in the Arctic. You'll of course find all the penguins. You'll see that the bike, the yellow bike, because bike sharing schemes can be very wasteful if they're not implemented properly. You will see, of course, the reference to Andy Warhol with the Campbell's tomato soup, which is one of her favorite artists. So this is an image that you can really have quite a rich discussion about and learn about global warming, rising temperatures, rising sea levels, even some of the causes with the plastic and the waste. So they were all the penguins. And I've sort of circled, I talked about that earlier. Okay, divergent thinking. The idea of divergent thinking, all these parts are all pillars to creative thinking. And divergent thinking is the idea of coming up with many ideas to a problem. So this is an example of how we would do this. So what do you think this image is communicating? So I think you all can guess that the family is sat at dinner just looking at their devices, not talking. This is a scene that really resonates with a lot of people. So what activity would we do? We'd ask the students to imagine a friend has been spending too long online and their work is suffering, and as a result, what suggestions would you give them on how to use their device less? List 5 out-of-the-box ideas. And the great thing about this, and please feel free to start sharing your ideas. The great thing about this is that when you use digital tools like Padlet or even this Zoom session, you start seeing other people's ideas and you realize, wow, there are so many different ideas. The more you push yourself, the more you'll have unconventional ideas, and we want to celebrate those. Yeah, so switch off Wi-Fi, yes, and then if you keep pushing, you'll get more and more. I've done this previously. Yeah, take up sports. Yeah, exactly. People were saying hide the mobile phone hide the mobile phone, card game. Yeah, so you can see. Pull out the plugs, yes. Great. And then some people are starting to talk about features or apps. Nice. So divergent thinking is so notice how your first few thoughts are usually the most obvious. Push yourself to find 3 to 5 alternative thoughts that also fit the situation. So this is another similar activity. And the reason I'm doing double of all the activities is that you see the more that you do, the more your creative muscles will build and the better you will get. So imagine a friend has been the target of online bullying. What advice would you give them on how to handle it? So that's another way that we encourage divergent thinking. We're not going to do this one now because I want to do the quiz, which is coming up soon. But the idea is to applaud crazy answers. And what we find in the classroom, oh yes, this is very cute. So 5 push-ups each time you look at your phone. So what you find in a classroom when you're doing this kind of thing is that the kids who are really good, usually in the classroom, are not necessarily the best ones at this. Sometimes it's actually the students who are the weaker students who are really good at these activities. Why? because they're not afraid of saying stupid things. So that's very kind of an interesting insight. And what I find is great is to let those kids shine, and let them feel confident. Critical thinking. So, you know, this is something that we address in our fake news issue. We found unbelievable research that students believe that what they see online is true. It was a Stanford study that showed that, and it was kids up to about 13, 14. They believe everything they see online. So what we did is we created this fake news quiz. We actually researched real fake news stories, and we created these little animated graphics, and then we put it in a Kahoot quiz. Kahoot is really popular because it allows you to see how everyone else is doing. So you can have a go at that now. Becca's going to paste the link there, and there's about 10 questions. We've got 3 quizzes, but you can please have a go. It's quite fun. And you'll probably see as you do it that it's impossible to know whether a headline is true or false. In this day and age, false stuff can seem real and real stuff can seem false. So we had a lot of fun doing this quiz, because when we were trying to invent fake headlines, we were finding that they were actually in a way real or becoming real. So it was kind of a funny activity. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to have a go at that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. So the Kahoot quiz is really another way to start a discussion about fake news, and as a prompt to make young people realize that sometimes it's just you just can't read something and know. So after that, you would then go into a discussion of how do you verify the validity of a story, and then you can have more of a serious discussion. But the quiz is a great way to introduce this topic, which is actually very, very complex, but very, very important. So any of you who've got kids, please feel free to do that with them. Kids love Kahoot, and if there's any teachers, then please feel free to have a go with them. The great thing is that they can, the great thing about Kahoot is they've got this live sort of rating, so they see who's top in the class at the quiz. So they love that competitive element. Okay, sorry, hold on. Okay, so creative confidence. Creative confidence is something that that can grow, that will grow with time. I think maybe kids start off creatively confident, but I don't know who's watched Ken Robinson's TED Talk, the famous TED Talks about schools killing creativity. They may come out not feeling so confident anymore. And that is a real problem, because maybe at the beginning, some people said, oh, creativity is not relevant in all businesses, but actually I would argue that it is. It's simply that there's a deep held belief within the company that it's not relevant, probably because those leaders do not feel creatively confident themselves. However, this self-assurance lies at the heart of innovation. So it's so important to nurture this creativity as a value within your organization. So this is another activity that we do in the fake news, and this is really very fun. So please have a go now. You've got there are 9 images, and you've got to think of a short story or headline that combines any 3 in an original way. And remember, there are no right or wrong answers. And I'm going to give you a few minutes to have a go. Okay, very nice, Jennifer. Oh. Rabbit uses cheese grater to break out of prison. Brilliant. Okay, I think maybe Jennifer must work in a creative job. I don't know. I'm just, oh, well, okay, so you're all fantastic. I think you all work in creative industries. And maybe you don't. Anyway, I'm curious myself to know that, because you're all very good at this. Okay, very good. TB, Rabbit receives prison sentence for cooking the world's worst pizza. I mean, that is brilliant. Must remember that one, Becca. We can put it in the school kit as an example of a really funny one. Pizza Hut staff is in jail. Okay, you guys are very good. This is top group I've had so far, I must say. Yeah, all very natural at this. I wonder how creatively confident you all are. I suspect probably quite very confident. Lifeguard spotted taxi floating on ocean. Yeah, brilliant. These are brilliant. These are even better than the ones that we came up with, I think. These are our ones. So amazing how you can see the variety of combinations that you can come up with. You know, imagine this in a classroom of 40, and imagine letting the kids use a tool like Padlet where they can like each other's. You know, that's called rewarding unusual thinking. Yeah, very good, very funny. So this is kind of like making me smile. I think having fun and creativity really go hand in hand. Okay, I think it's not the same. Jennifer's done another one, which is amazing. You know, just goes to show one person can also push themselves to make more and more. So encourage students to do this multiple times to stretch creative muscles, and it uses the making connections method to generate new idea and build creative confidence. And what are you going to see when you start doing this is that these kids, these young people, adults, will start being able to combine unusual things and unusual ideas to create something new. And that is where innovation comes from. I'm sure when you read all the stories about amazing innovators and where they got their ideas from, you'll actually find it's from making connections between things that do not necessarily naturally go together. And I always find that fascinating about Steve Jobs and the Mac. And when he started out, he remembered his calligraphy class that he'd taken at college. Just happens to be that he just took this extra class, and he remembered the importance of design, and that is something he incorporated early on into the Mac, which straight away distinguished it from the other PCs on the market at the time. So he made that connection at the time. So that's obviously an example of what they call big C creativity, but it's just to show this is really important. So content creation, creative people are natural creators. But now with social media, you don't have to be a trained designer to be able to create, not even with social media, now with smart devices. So this is an exercise that we did for our fake news. We created these GIF stickers and we asked people to create fake news stories. So you might not necessarily want to have a go at this now, but you could have a go at this later. If you go onto Jiffy, you'll see our some of our fake news stories. I will show you some now as well. So by using tools such as social media, you can really start to raise awareness of these topics in a fun way. So these are all GIF stickers. So I'm coming to the end of the webinar. I mean, coming to the question and answer session, but I just wanted to let you know what we're currently working on. We want to talk about anxiety. We want to do an anxiety themed issue of EYEYAH. So that's what we've been researching. And what's amazing is that it's actually 1 in 5 now of the world's children and adolescents have a mental disorder, and generalized anxiety typically begins in adolescence. We want to make it okay to talk about mental health and fight the stigma around the topic. So we're going to demystify and visualize anxiety. So we've already reached out to our network and really researched this topic at length. We want to normalize anxiety and make it into something that you can have a conversation about in the classroom, and empower people to recognize their own symptoms and have authentic conversations. So social media, how you feel you look on social media, COVID, these are some of the topics we're going to cover. Fear of making or taking phone calls, fear of exams, fear of school. I know my kids, for example, are actually petrified of COVID, of testing positive. To them, it's like the scariest thing ever. So, you know, and they're 7 years old. So they already have anxiety, you know, at this age. So I think at this time, this is really, really important to do this. So we're going to combine our, earlier on I mentioned some of the events and exhibitions that we hold, and we're going to combine that. We want to make this really high profile. Unfortunately, you can't print a magazine that most people can't get hold of. You have to do something much more high profile. And that's why we're going to do an exhibition, a free exhibition at Art Science Museum in March next year. It's going to be called GIF Fest 3. And we're going to be showing all these GIFs about anxiety, but it's going to be fun. So, and I think that's a a unique sort of position that we're in to curate something like that, to take a topic that is actually obviously quite heavy, to distill it and to create an experience about it that you actually will enjoy, but that will spark discussion and maybe recognition in people. So we want to build installations and have all these amazing GIFs that of course are rich for NFTs as well. So here's an example of a sketch that we've just received from Jim, the illustrator, one of our creators. And it's about anxiety. And I'm going to let you look at it, because the more you look, the more you'll uncover. And actually, hopefully, you'll even like laugh and enjoy looking at this. So I just give you a minute to have a look. So when this came in and the team and I were going through it, everyone has a different part of it that they love, that makes them smile. I personally love the comic strip on the right. I like the little man who's getting squashed by the shoe. And you know, this isn't even colored and it's not even animated. So you can see as it gets elevated and elevated, the power of something like this, and the power of a creator who's able to capture so much in such a rich illustration. We're coming to the end now. I'd love to get some of your, so I hope you've had fun. For me, this is a key quote about creativity is intelligence having fun. It would be really nice to get your reflection, some of your thoughts about in 3 words, how you feel after this session. Maybe you experience the idea of a state of flow. I always find that really interesting, but a state of flow is how you feel when you're being truly creative. And it's a state of feeling really happy, at ease, and really relaxed. Maybe some of your assumptions have changed. For me, learning about creativity and creative thinking, I've realized it can be taught, it can be nurtured, you can build creative confidence, and it should be from young. So yes, please go ahead and I'll have a look at some of your. Thank you, Becca. Great. I mean, I love your words. I feel the same as well. Energized, inspired, happy, yeah, fun, eye-opening, great. I mean, educational. You know, I would, my sort of goal in life is to get these exercises in as many classrooms as possible. And I think by using these topics that teachers and parents want kids to know about is a way of doing that. Curious, yeah, curiosity is this one is so important because you know, the Ken Robinson TED Talk I talked about earlier. So schools kill creativity. Well, actually recently they're now starting to talk about schools killing curiosity. So we need to keep kids curious. We need to be curious about the world. Jumpy, okay. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but interesting. I would love to have some of your questions later. Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you all feel that way. I think that's really nice feedback. I'm just going to finish off by just going back to share. I love reading. I just recently finished a master's, and that reignited my love of reading nonfiction. I'm a huge fan of NLB. And thus I'm here on my cruise in the middle of the day doing this. I love the fact that you can borrow all the books through the app online and download them in minutes. It's amazing. And actually nearly all the books that I want are always available. So yeah, thank you, NLB. These are some of my favorite books about creativity. I loved some of them are very new. Maybe NLB don't have them yet, but The Art of Creative Thinking, they definitely have. How to Have Great Ideas, they definitely have. I love this, A Smile in the Mind. All of you here who are into graphic design or visual communications, this is really, even the title is so nice. You know, it's the idea of looking at an image and feeling happy, or you know, it's about humor. It's a really beautiful book. Visual Intelligence was a bit aha for me because I really learned about visual literacy. And I love this book about creating innovators. It's really about raising kids to be creative, and it's about the small things that matter so much in your journey to creativity, like having mentors, like having people that believe in you. I love interviewing creative people about their journey, and I find that there are some common threads. Another thing is reading is a common thread, and often they read completely out of their area of expertise. Some of them even go to obscure parts of the library and find books on topics that are completely not what they're into, and will read about them. Science fiction, I mean, you all know how science fiction predicts the future often. So those are some great books, and here are some our social media. So please follow. Yeah, so playful graphics. Oh, okay, nice. Thank you. Yes, please feel free to share. I mean, there's not much time left. Thank you so much. I will enjoy my cruise. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Yeah, no, I mean, it's first time I do a webinar. I think it's a shame I can't see you all, but I've enjoyed your comments. So thank you.
Okay, so I think if anyone has any questions, you can just input into the Q&A section as well. We have one question from Haril so far. He says, thank you for this truly fun and interactive webinar. As someone who better understands and digests information in a visual way, I really wish there was something of a similar nature back when I was in school. Just wondering, will there be reprints of your physical magazine issues that are currently out of stock?
Yeah, we've been asked that question a few times, and we would love to do reprints. It's really our biggest challenge usually is just how to pay for things. So but yes, we would love to. You know, I think this work is timeless, and it should be reprinted. So if I can gather enough teachers or people to pay for a reprint, definitely. And thank you for saying that you wish there was something similar when you were back at school. I wish the same as well.
Okay, do we have any other questions for the Q&A section? The EYEYAH magazine is available at Library at Orchard, so you can just hit down and try to borrow a physical copy, but they are really popular, so they do get borrowed out quite fast, but you can always check on the NLB app if they're available before heading down as well. Okay, we've got another question. What are some of the biggest challenges throughout the whole creative journey, and how do you overcome it? Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. Gosh, what? There's been a lot of challenges. I think for me personally, and maybe other people on the team will say something different. It's hard to sustain something like this. because it's really not commercial and we don't have a fixed business model. So then you start going on the tracks of, are you a non-profit, which we actually are, but being a not-profit is doesn't mean much. You really need to be a charity to benefit in that sense, which we're not. So not having a business model is difficult, because it means it's really hard to sustain. It's hard to do reprints. It's hard to pay to do things. So that is our biggest challenge, to be honest. How do you overcome it? Well, it's a constant challenge, but we overcome it by, I think, by getting recognition and thanks, by doing sessions like this and seeing that people are truly inspired and truly enjoy it, by the teachers that we talk to, by the awards that we win. So that those things just keep us doing it, because we see that there's value and that it makes a difference. What other topics? Yeah, that's a great question. There's the topics we really want to do are money, which is financial literacy. I mean, the amount of even adults who are not financially literate is unbelievable. And so I'm trying to get a bank to sponsor that. But, you know, sometimes I think even banks don't necessarily want people to be truly financially literate. So then the question is, you know, who's going to pay for that? Yeah, so financial literacy. We want to do even like jokes. We've just got like humor, like the human brain, and even we want to start tackling those typical subjects at school like science, maths, and doing it in a completely new way.
Okay,
yes.
we've got another question from Tin. Is there any commercial opportunities that EYEYAH has rejected, and why?
I don't know about there are opportunities that we've rejected simply because we don't have the full capacity to do them, or that we didn't feel they were they won't really driving our values maybe. But we're quite fortunate in that the partners we work with now really value what we do. So yeah, hope that answers that question. Yes, crowdfunding, I know it is quite a good suggestion. We have been told that a few times, so thank you for that, Irene.
Great. Does anyone have any more questions about maybe the PDA exhibition as well? We have some people from the team that can answer any of your questions. Some people have been asking about the ebooks for the EYEYAH magazine, and Becca's just posted a link to see more editions of that on their EYEYAH page. So definitely check that out. I think from the chat we've got from Cynthia, is the March exhibition date fixed? I think people are very excited about the exhibition at the Art Science Museum. That sounds amazing.
Yes, actually, it's not even formally announced yet. So
okay.
You guys are...
Wow.
Yeah, it is during a week-long holiday in March. I forgot exactly, maybe the 12th, the 15th, around there. It's on for 2 weeks. But we're still trying to find a sponsor to pay for it, to be honest. So, but hopefully it will happen.
Okay, maybe you can just keep the questions coming. I would just share my screen to get some feedback for today's session. So let me just share that. Okay. Okay, hope everyone can see the QR code and the link. So if you enjoyed today's session, please let us know. And if you want to see any similar programs, your feedback helps us kind of plan what programs to go with. For the next year, we are a design library, so we're really happy to be the only design-focused public library under NLB. And yeah, we're really happy to have partners like Tanya and such amazing projects being shared. I know we've got a comment just now that, you know, this was a really interactive session. And yeah, I think this is the most interactive webinar I've been in as well. And thank you to Tanya and the team for just adapting so well to the online formats and everything. I think everyone really enjoyed today's session.
Yeah, thank you all. And we love the NLB, like I've said, and we love to do pop-up exhibitions in the library. So I'm just putting it out there for you because
Got
we
it.
want to bring this, to a wide audience. So you know it's there if the offer is there.
Great. Okay, we've got another question. So are there differences in visual comms for children as opposed to seniors?
No, I mean, by doing this, by running sessions like this, you could do this exact same session with a load of kids, with a load of teenagers, and with seniors. It would be so, it's so interesting to see people's, how people see things and how people perceive. And when you start really going into visual literacy and the depth of it, you realize that the way you perceive something is to do with your perspective, is to do with your biases, your assumptions, and your previous experience. And no two people will necessarily look at an image in the same way. And images are a way for people to actually have a discussion and realize their own biases. So I think you could really use that for seniors. You would make it perhaps a bit more sophisticated. Maybe the images would be more sophisticated than for children, but the idea and the approach would be the same.
Great. Okay, so wow, we've got lots of thank yous in the chat. Thank you everyone for making it for today. We still got the room to, we still got this webinar on for a while, so we can hang around for a bit. But yeah, feel free to type in the chat. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Ireel. Thank you, everybody. Oh, and just a reminder that you can win a physical publication of the PDA. PDA publication. You just got to email PDA. Maybe you can get someone from the team to put that in the chat again. So I have a copy myself and it's great. So definitely recommend popping them an email if you have time. Okay, great. Becca just put the email in the chat again. Okay. Tanya, how are you going to spend the rest of the day on your cruise?
Well, I'm not sure really. There's a lot of places to eat. Yeah, a lot of food, and it's really hot. I've been indoors this whole time, so I'm not sure. But when I was outside earlier, it was really, really hot. Oh, wow. Like you can imagine, we're just in the middle of the sea. There's nothing. Yeah, it's first time I've done a cruise. Like I don't think I would be doing cruises if it wasn't for COVID. But that was an assumption of mine, that cruises are a bit like, I don't know. I just had assumptions, but actually now I'm like, oh, they're actually quite fun. Like floating resorts. I feel like I'm an advert for the Royal Caribbean.
Wow. But thanks so much for spending time with us this afternoon.
It was fun. I mean, it's nice to have such positive feedback, and also quite engaged audience that are clearly quite creative themselves. So it's a pleasure. Thanks for organizing.
No problem. Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing. Let's see. Okay, if we don't have any more questions, I think I'll just close this webinar maybe 5 minutes early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Becca. Thanks, Peitan. Thanks, Trina.
Thank you, everyone.
Enjoy your Saturday, the rest of your weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.